Morning. Thank you for everyone's participation on a Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. Welcome. Today and Thursday will be the last two of our summer prep sessions for specialized masters from CMC. My name is Jeannie, and I've seen some of you in past workshops, and I'm the primary coach for MS Finance program. Here with me, we have Zeke and Wakas. Zeke and Wakas, would you want to introduce yourselves?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Zeke Artiaga, and I'm the coach for the Master Marketing program here at Owen.
Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are. So I'm Wakas Heather, and I am a coach for data science students.
You're on mute, Jenny.
Jenny, you're on mute if you're speaking.
Yeah, if everyone's ready, I'll get started. As people starting to come in, start with the icebreaking question. What is the most interesting place you have traveled to so far? Maybe this summer, or somewhere looking forward to. Let's type in the chat. I can start. Wow. Tanzania, Italy, Switzerland, Scotland, Italy, Honduras, Spain. Wow, a wide variety of destinations. Abu Dhabi. Ooh. One country, Uruguay. What kind of wine do they have?
They have the grape is called Tannat, so it's Tannat. I assume it's from Europe and it was brought over, but it's like a cab or a Malbec, like it's really, really heavy, which I like, but it's kind of intense for some people. So they always recommend having it with food.
Wow, those are a great set of questions. Actually, coincidentally, I was talking to a graduate student who was who became a banker, and she also talked about and networking with people that she doesn't know. And this is one of the questions that she likes to ask: and what's the wildest place that you have visited, or what's the most interesting place to travel to? And you know that breaks people away from their existing kind of culture settings, and then get them to have interesting discussions to start. So there you go. That's a threat for networking discussions. So today we're gonna talk about why network, how do I network, and some personalization steps, kind of a manual or to get started with if you don't know how to network with. Target list building and next steps, and that integrates together when networking as a topic. I have to say that this is a very, very big topic, so we're just going to give you the basics today. We definitely welcome you to talk to each of us in the CMC to discuss your networking situations or troubleshooting or your personal approaches, and everyone's can be a bit different. So feel free to reach out to all of us as you come across networking situations in this coming school year. I would say personally, maybe 60% of my coach appointments is about networking in the school year. So I highly encourage you to get familiar with the basics and take the needed steps to for you to get familiar with the topic in the school. So this is our team. You see the three of us today. And we have Brooke and Merrill to be supporting all in this coming year. This is a quick review of what we have covered so far. You see last week, we talked about resume and cover letter and applications. Now this week, we're gonna talk about the information to be used versus networking, target employer list, and preparation for interviews. You see the topics are mixing a little bit, and this is where the integrated approach of understanding your resume, understanding your story, and understanding your targets, whether that's people, industry, or specific company, can get rolled into your job applications that makes you a stronger candidate and better preparation for the interview. So that's why they're integrated a little bit, and you feel that as we go on the topic. So very basic question, why do we network? This is a way, and networking is also called informational interviewing. This is a way for you to understand your target field beyond the books, beyond all the YouTubes that you watch, or beyond what academic is. You can start building and maintaining professional relationships in the field already, even as an entry-level student. This is also the main way and the consistent way to get interviews through their references. Is particularly as a specialized master's is not known as being a pipeline program because we're a one-year program. Now, a large chunk of our students actually report networking as a primary resource for postgraduate jobs. Now, I want you to type in your guess of what percentage of our students find their jobs by now. 43, 70, 55, 80, 8, okay, 65, 75, 60, 70, okay. So it's very encouraging that all of you are understanding the importance of networking. The stats that we have is 45%. Now that is 45% beyond the on-campus recruiting side. So including the on-campus ones, which you would be networking, that number is bigger. I think we'll be getting to the 75 or 80%. Because in today's world, it's very, very rare that you get something without networking your way towards that position. Thank you all for your participation. So the 3 steps for networking: finding your targets, connect with them, and ask for what you need, whether it's advice, resume review, or referral. The most important step here, as you can tell, is the connect. And this is where we're going to spend a bit more time diving into. So how to find the contacts? Now, a lot of people, particularly if we're not familiar with the topic, are intimidated by all these professionals and LinkedIn contacts. So where do we start? We always advise students to start with peers and classmates, and sometimes it's friends of friends. That may be the easiest for you as you're graduating your undergrad. There's a large pool of classmates and peers where the stakes are low and they probably know you somewhat already. Now, if you do ask your peer or classmate to tell you 2 more people to get in touch with, that network expands very, very quickly, and you'll have a base to start with. So-and-so who's a peer refer me to talk to you. So that is an easy way to get started and get your initial kind of practice reps in for you to get more familiar with how networking goes. The next step will be recent graduates. This includes the class of 2024 MMarks and MSFs and the recent data science graduates. They still have their OWIN memories in mind fresh and hopefully positively, and they'll be excited to talk to you. Alumni from your undergraduate schools and Vanderbilt, most likely OWIN, are likely to respond positively and quickly to your requests. As that sometimes people extend the recent graduates to their undergraduate clubs. For example, if they want to do real estate, have they considered undergraduate real estate club, even if they were not part of that club to start with. Alumni multi-years out, this is why we put it in step 3, is because there are fewer opportunities and they are higher in their industries and in their companies, so the stakes are higher. They may be holding direct influence over hiring decisions, so that's where you want to be careful and you want to be really polished when you network with people who are multi-years beyond their experiences in. Now, these are just a set of facts, right, that someone has. Why we're presenting it here is that these are actually all the things that potentially are in common and you can personalize in your outreach. Whether it's hometown, clubs, schools, sports interest, conferences, professional connections, or study abroad, travel experiences. All of that could create that initial connection where you build your outreach. And we're going to talk about outreach in LinkedIn and on email. There is really no correct way to outreach. Some people do prefer LinkedIn, some people prefer email. The reason for LinkedIn is that maybe people check it often. It can be like a short message. You don't want to be poking around to find people's email that way. So that's one argument. The other is that some people like, I want to see people try to make an effort to find me on my company email address so that I could see that person really making effort instead of just clicking at contact. So the argument can go both ways, and you'll find even though a lot of the networking advice that people can give, and any OWIN graduate can give you a 3-hour lecture on it, they overlap by a bunch, but they don't necessarily hold that verdict to one particular method. So use your judgment and see like what a consensus is, and then that's what we can do probably I don't anyway. So LinkedIn, the outreach can be pretty short because the message block is kind of short, and then you talk about who you are, and I would personally say never just add contact. I think I sometimes, because a lot of outreaches that I see that is minimum effort, I wouldn't really care about those. Have a short message where there's who your names are, where you're interacting with their profile experiences, and here an easy one is your academic experience, which is MS in marketing, and what I'm looking forward to chat on. And it's a very, very quick message. Some people appreciate that, and some people say that because LinkedIn also pops it into their personal email, so it's more likely for them to see the message twice and increase the chance of replying. The email outreach, this is a more kind of extensive effort, including finding the email outreach is more extensive, includes finding the person's email, and a couple of apps that people use these days are hunter.io and apollo.io. For websites, you can type it into the chat box for people. And usually in emails, people talk a little bit more about their background and what the overlapping experience is and who referred them and what exactly they want to talk about. So it gives you a little bit more of the background. And some of the approaches that professionals prefer these days is to kind of get your availability so they can pick and choose very, very quickly. So see how this email is worded, that it kind of gives them maximum amount of initial information in a very concise manner and very polite manner, so that you can increase the chance that person just pick it up without spending, more than 2 minutes in creating response to you. I know that in finance tracks, people would prefer that you attach the resumes to them, as though that you are looking for a job, but that practice may be different in data science and careful clicking the next page now. So now we are connecting with them, and you want to make sure that when you do connect with them, you don't kind of start with an ask. Remember the find, connect, and ask. So the connection and the relationship needs to come before you ask them for a direct favor, if that makes sense. Similarly, your incoming students to open, if a applicant just asks you, can you put in a good word for me into the admissions, you probably wouldn't do that on the outset, right? You want to know where that candidate is, like what's their interest, are they a good match for Owen, and are you going to, you're going to put your reputation on the line to speak to admissions on behalf of this person. So you want to really kind of understand them a bit before you vouch for them. Same here, all the connections that you're trying to make and efforts that you're doing following the call is to make sure that your target is comfortable in referring you or kind of giving you mentorship or recommendations kind of advice. So connect on the call, be conversational, actively listening. We want to research their profile ahead of time and look up events about their companies or industries. All these work that they do before the networking call is to make sure that you are meeting them halfway, because they're stepping out in their daily activities to help you to have this time. The very basis is that you don't want them to spend the time educating you what is the public data about their company and what they do, and the very basics that you can understand from elsewhere. So you want to meet them halfway in that effort. In the conversation, sometimes you don't know what kind of situation they step up from, or where their personality is, what they want to achieve on this call. So really leaning into where the conversation takes. The good kind of conversations that people or alumni report back are the ones that just flows. Try to avoid, you start with a set of questions, but try to avoid being robotic, because the other side can certainly hear you if you're just reading from a question list and not understanding what the conversation is and asking follow-up questions to what they're talking about. That's mainly the relational approach to making connections, whether it's on a call, whether it's in an in-person coffee chat. And also understand that in the grand scheme of things, not most networking calls will not immediately result in an offer or a job application or a good a good kind of work to put forward for you. But it's a cumulative effort, and you'll see it at the end of your consistent efforts. It is a numbers game, and you experience people who don't pick up your calls or have short calls, or people that you just don't click, and that's okay. Sometimes we also have no's being at the outset. For example, they don't really have any roles right now, sorry, and you feel like you wasted your time. Certainly in this past year, we've had students where a no became a yes later, because they don't really get to control their headcount situation, but you consistently make a good impression, that no can become a yes later too. So again, the relational long-term approach rather than transactional. And if you had a bad call, and that's okay, that could be them and their day, that could be you for being lack of preparation, just learn from them. And sometimes you know, it's not on you, so don't take them personally. It's very easy for me to say that. It's very hard when you have a few bad calls. But that is key to keep it on this, that, to keep it non-personal. At the end of the day, just be humble, be authentic, and be a pleasant person, to have a conversation. Any questions? No? Okay. That's a lot, and we're gonna, you know, go into a activity right now, where we're gonna put you into small groups and talk about the kind of brainstorm, questions that you can ask where you have personalized answers and make you connect better. So for example, instead of ask, oh, what's the market capitalization of a company? What's just a fact? Ask about something that's personal, that kind of evokes their emotions around their careers and personal experiences that can help them relate to you. We're gonna break people into breakout rooms. Can I do that, or what class are you doing that? Let me do that.
I can do that.
Do random. 55 groups. Yes, can I have at least 3 questions from each group? We'll come back for what, 5 minutes?
Give me a second.
Do random groups.
Okay.
3 open 10 groups? We,
Ginny, let me know when you wanna close. I didn't set up the time. It's a random time.
I wanted 5 rooms, if that's possible, 'cause this will be a long.
You want to give 5 minutes?
No, I wanted 5 rooms, but I guess it's okay. We need to move, let's, yeah, let's move, you need to move number 9, yeah.
I moved it. I moved the rooms for
Thank you.
Alex and
Okay.
Shushan.
Okay.
How much time do we have to give, by the way?
5,
Okay. We'll bring them back.
okay, so that's the timer.
Let's have 1 person in the main room.
Yeah, are you not in any room?
I think it's fine if there are like 2 people and. We're back already. Would you mind pasting your questions into the chat box? Everyone's back. Can you post your questions into the chat box for all to see. Thank you. This is crowdsourcing great ideas. Spot. Okay. I think we still have some groups who are pasting theirs, but I'll start talking about the ones that you came up with, and there's a lot of great ones I could see. What's the work? The first one, what's the work-life balance like? I think that's a good one. You want to maybe embed it into the mid or later part of your conversations, because it may not be something you want to lead with a professional conversation, and that may be a personalized part can be added on to that. For example, if you want to say, how have you balanced your external your non-work activities within a profession that you're in, right? So that asks for like a personal approach rather than the general one or the standard one. What's the interview process is like, and how can an applicant stand out? Again, the interview process, you would ask that maybe later in the process. The advice on how can make an applicant stand out, that's a great one. Another way to word it maybe, how can I equip myself, or how can I strengthen my skills so that I can be a successful applicant and entry-level analyst at your company. Something that kind of puts a more personal spin to it. Next set of questions, favorite part of the job, day-to-day, that's great. Yeah, what did you get into marketing specifically? So yeah, that's a personalized approach. What did you originally wanted to be when you grew up? And where did you start a company, and what could you do to the company? I think that's great. What did you originally want to be when you grew up? If I understand that right, that also will be not a leading question. It's probably later when you have some type of relationships. Why were you drawn to the industry as a whole? That's great. Why did you choose to stay for this company? What about the culture that sticks up to you? That's great. What's the biggest surprise? That's a very personal question, isn't it? And how their undergraduate experience translated into what they did. I personally really like these 4 and 5 questions. I think there's a lot of thought put into those, and they could tell that, you know, this is something that you thought hard on and it's personalized to them, and then we decided to answer. So great job there. What knowledge did you gain from the project that you worked on? Yeah, those are good ones, very specific. Favorite aspect of the job, what made you particularly interested in the industry? I hear now a lot of this is about personal insight in the industry and the combination of their past experiences informing where they are, or a kind of surprise aspect of where they are. Memorable challenges. How did you navigate? Yeah, recruiting. So this is, I assume, Charlotte's question. This is for someone graduating from Owen. Yes, all of those are very, very specific questions on a personal. What is something you learned that you're not expected, similar to this surprise one? Favorite deal. There's endurance. Yeah, that kind of evokes joy and excitement. That's a good question too. What's been rewarding? What's been rewarding? That also evokes positive emotions. When advised to have someone in my shoes, kind of the empathy side, that you're listening. So those are great. Vegan, what comes any observations? We've got a great lot of good questions here. Thanks.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Yeah, I love the questions. I like Charlotte Lawson like tailored it towards like a former Owen student or Owen alum. So that I think that was great, Charlotte. So when you look at LinkedIn profiles, you'll want to find those commonalities, and you'll want to bring those up into the networking call. And so the more research you can do on the front end, the more personalized questions you'll have. So that wasn't like the point of this exercise, was get you thinking about questions that you could ask. But as you really start to dig into it, you meet with your coach, you're going to find like, ooh, I'm going to have some very specific questions for a very specific person at a very specific company. And that's what we're trying to get you to think about.
So after the call, the typical expectation is that you send a thank you note. This one is a sample, and it's probably on the longer end, but I think there are parts that we can note and learn from this sample. And I put down some like text there because I think it's got a lot of good ideas. Does anyone have an idea why people like this thank you letter?
It mentioned something specific that they talked about in like the second section. It says, from what I've learned, that whole thing actually refers to their conversation.
Exactly. That's huge, right? That person just spent 20-30 minutes of their valuable time, and it gave you some advice, and you want to get them, they even say, oh, that person got me, right? So that's a great feedback. What else? This looks very professional, right? The deer, the spacing on the paragraphs, and also with the signaturing, but that's all very professional. What else? What else is good about this? See how it opens up a topic for the next time for the follow-up. As we discussed last time, continue freelance post. I'll be in touch as I find a new relevant role, right? So it kind of leads the way almost for the next conversation to come in. And a lot of the questions that students ask, oh, I had this initial call. What do I do then? This is a way for you to integrate your first call into the next one or where you're going. And you can refer to this thank you note next time you can email the so here is the art of maintaining the relationship, and this is maybe honestly any relationship, and being courteous, follow up, kind of refer to the things that you talked about and send updates to keep those contacts warm, whether it's Thanksgiving, winter holidays, or that you've done, a seminar that's very relevant to you with the content that you talked to, you picked up like a small spring internship that, the alumni suggested you would. All those are great updates. So to form that mentor-mentee relationship right now. And if you happen to be in their city, always try to grab a coffee, suggest a place that's very near to where they work. Yeah, make them as easy as possible for them. And to have that physical one-on-one. And sometimes it's very, very important to be in the physically the same space with other people. And that kind of builds affinity with the person. And here we would like to share with you a relationship maintenance tracker. This is something that we have used and sometimes in Excel format at Owen. Nowadays, it's not uncommon to use online tools such as HubSpot, like Salesforce, type of CRM tools to maintain the relationship with the people that they build networking relationships. Okay, so this tracker, I believe, is online in 1220 for each of the programs. And we can also send one a generic one for endorsement. Yes, QHQ is a great one. For MSF, I hear people use HubSpot a lot. And final stage, we're asking, asking, eventually you will need to ask for your need and find your advocates. And I see this important, even though you don't want to do it too early. You want to do it at proper time, because this is also a way for you to screen out people who didn't really click with you, or they will say the nice things, but they don't really want to push things forward for you. Their time is precious and limited, and your time is also a scarce resource as well. So therefore, you want to find your advocates in this process. And as jobs for a specialized masters is kind of a fragmented market, right? It's not like a big company will come in and hire 20 people at once. So you want all these advocates to be out there, to be your eyes and ears, to look for things that may work for you once you build this mentor-mentee relationship. So once you have a good rapport with your contacts, you can ask them, could you look over my resume? Could you tell me a bit more about my networking approaches, whether it works for professionals in our field? Do you mind referring me to this position, or share other contacts I should be in touch with? If they don't want to help you at that time, they may say yes and will not follow up, or directly they're like, no, I'm not comfortable. They will let you know, and thank them for their time, and you can move on, because then you can focus on the people that you have been building good relationships with, and are going to be your champions in the process. So I see this is a very, very important step, so that you actually build quality relationships and kind of examine which are the quality relationships that you have. And last set of words, I am not from the US. I'm an international student, work in the US environment, but also understanding that networking has its cultural content and cultural nuances as well. For many of us who don't come from this country, this can be quite intimidating. And the approaches and also the cultural references, it can be difficult for people who are not used to this environment, whether in the US or internationally, to get used to. However, do know that this is a attainable skill. You're gonna make some mistakes and have some kind of embarrassment maybe early on, but through reps and practice, this is something that you can equip yourself with and get better at. And in the US context, it's particularly okay to reach out to people regardless of the titles, right? There's less of a hierarchy sense, even though some people have higher stakes than others, but it's okay to reach out people regardless of their ranks. And sometimes it's okay to not get a response if you're too busy, and it may not be about you. Most likely it's not about you, it's about them and their professional and personal lives. And it's also okay that you don't click with everyone. Enjoy the conversation, and building a rapport is more important than demonstrating skills. I know kind of the skills demonstration is important in some other cultures. Here, I think people look for that connection, that personal touch with each other. And be attentive to nonverbal language. And I'd say this in the business world, that there is a level of assertiveness, confidence that's needed in this world. And that potentially may mean how you look at your own posture, how you convey your eye contact and your voice, right? Like with higher pitch or lower pitch, how you conduct yourself in a nonverbal setting. That can affect your impression upon the other person. So this is something that will come more natural to you once you hit campus and can observe, particularly some of the MBAs, how they carry themselves in the American business setting. I do have a lot of confidence in all of it picking up, because we see it every single year. This is through our orientation to kind of not to people are kind of picking up those nonverbal cues and how they conduct themselves in a professional setting in America. So lastly, some very quick, yes, okay. Lastly, some etiquette, just calling them out more saliently is always sending a thank you letter, hopefully within the 24 hours of your contact, after each call, meeting, or interview. Develop a habit of responding quickly and thoughtfully, be prompt in email responses, be concise but not too stiff, not too robotic. Always professional. Sometimes people can get pretty lax with you and kind of casual. Even though sometimes if you become too casual, they will not feel, they will not be reciprocating that kind of casual feeling. They will see that you as kind of not being professional, and because that may be a test environment for you. So always be professional, even if you thought you know the situation very well. Always conduct yourself professionally. Now, in the kind of thank you letter context, that's absolutely required these days. I know alumni and employers talk about, oh, that student, they had a great interview, but they didn't send a thank you letter. That's immediate rejection. So definitely pay attention. Yeah, how are we doing on time? 50 minutes. So with that, we will do a individual activity for a LinkedIn outreach. We'll give you each 5 minutes to go on to Owen's LinkedIn page and find a alumni in a target field that you really like to work in. And find some people that you want to connect with and draft a outreach message. And I'll show you the template. Put in the chat box when you're done. Again, this is the initial draft. You don't need to type it out. I think we just really want you to initiate the process, and you can refine that later. I will start the clock right now, so we'll come back on 9:50. That's for this message. Very quick message, right? Find something that's in common for you and your target, and post it in. Find your target alumni. Right? 1 minute left. Ready to share the draft? Any first ones? It's a first draft, it doesn't matter. Any volunteers? Oh, got one, got one. Hi, Annalise, this is Elena Arline. You might remember, oh, perfect. Zita during undergrad, okay, yes. Starting, okay, I could see that you're using your undergraduate peer slash classmate network, so that's an easy one to start with. Starting on, yeah, some background, love to connect to the ON and how that led to your current roles. Yes, so I hear the past, how your experiences interact, the current, where you are, and again, there's another connection point. And what leads to the future and what do you want to talk about? And you even talk about the connection on Thursday and Friday. Perfect. That's a great one. Right. Seems like people got it, so I'll be moving on. Be interested. Oh, there's another one. Usman said, "Hi Logan, my name is. I'm starting this. Throughout my career, I have developed an interest in finance, and so that's where it's coming from. I would love to talk about the partners. Yes, you have 15 minutes. Yes, so this is a person where you want to be working in, and the kind of interest in financial services is a intersection. That perfect. Charlotte, West finance to the funding profile, looking for in the publishing industry, very interested, exclamation mark. Yes, so that conveys enthusiasm. Want to talk about the content, 30 minutes. That's great. Yeah, all of these are great drafts. Yeah, for LinkedIn messages, thank you all. I know it's hard to share in front of the audience, so thank you for your courage. Right. We'll be moving along to the last section now. This is a bit of a, step-by-step approach. There's not a whole lot we can talk about this other than, what drives this approach and kind of a step-by-step resources. So this target list building approach is called the LAMP. That kind of starts with that list and kind of triangulated by alumni represented in those places, your motivation, kind of just how you feel about the company and motivation to work there, and a number of postings. That's not necessarily this year, that could be historical, right? How many openings they have. And the list is driven by, if you all remember the FIG exercise that we did earlier in career exploration, function, industry, geography, and that will give you kind of a matrix to start with a list. A documentation that you can have, which is also on 1220, is a list of employers, alumni, is an Excel sheet that we can keep you track on. So where do you find the target list? This is the dream employers, alumni employers, and trends on the industry and posting search. This is where you can find the list of employers with your fig analysis. And we're going to talk about the resources for building that list. I want to kind of because there's a vast number of employers out there. These are the resources for kind of triangulating that target list to kind of the scope of it. Past employment reports for each of the programs, each of the yearly employment reports will have a number of employers on them that past students have gone to. This is also summarized in different forms in 1220. So resources library and employers list, it's on there too. And there's an employers column where you can find past employer or recruiters contact list. And our management library has business journals, and they call it book of lists by cities. That's where you can find the regional employers for your geographic region. Hoover's is also a comprehensive list for American and international employers. If you find something that you like on LinkedIn, and there's a similar page for competitors and comparables on LinkedIn now, big companies, there are rankings such as Fortune's 500. So that's how you kind of use those resources to come up with your initial list of target companies. Alumni, to find out which alumni work there or have worked there, there's a LinkedIn alumni function on the Owen Graduate School Management page, the alumni tab, and also there's a Vanderbilt alumni database, which is vanderbilt.edu alumni access. We will send you this presentation after this workshop, so you'll have. This is how the LinkedIn alumni function works. And step 3 is assess your own motivation. You can rank them in number 1 to 5, if you will. So kind of have a self-rating system. Job openings, they usually people find on LinkedIn or Indeed, and the number of openings in the past. You can also see past openings on 1220 that are Owen or business school specific. Now the completed list looks like this, and in this market, at least for finance, we recommend a list of initial 40 companies to start with, and you can orient your networking efforts around those 40. Within these companies, and these are my last 2 or 3 slides, I promise. Within these companies, there are a bunch of roles, and this kind of ties into what kind of questions to ask in your networking approach. And we've largely talked about alumni, maybe hiring managers, right? So who these people are going to use their resources for, and what kind of questions that are typically expected. And obviously, you won't ask about their day-to-day experience if it's an HR recruiter, right? It's kind of more of a timeline approach for recruiter, but we have a recommended approach of goals of the conversation and what to ask as a reference point. So that was a lot of content. Any questions, thoughts, feeling overwhelmed? Right.
I will say to all the students on the call, incoming students, we will have more sessions and conversations around networking. We know this is maybe slightly overwhelming to see all of this, but we'll be there to support you as you kind of go through each step to really make you feel confident that you can do this, because you all can and you all will.
Yeah, as I said, probably 60–70% of our in-school coaching sessions or workshops and are all about networking. So you have a lot of time to practice and to kind of reflect and fine-tune your way. Right. next steps, if you have the time this week, to reach out to one of the alumni. I see a lot of good drafts on the initial LinkedIn outreaches. Create that list of employers, for yourself. And kind of really integrated this in the initial contacts with their networking, potential, target. And when you reach out, keep in mind of the different perspectives and contexts and which can be of help in which areas. And develop an approach to stay in touch and keeping the connections warm. And I think this is really important to kind of find a way to be professional, and authentic, but also pushes beyond what is easy for you, to adapt to different approaches, to grow as a professional student, and to get you closer to, recruiter writing. So that on networking, and our last session will be conducted this Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on interviews and beyond. A quick reminder on the summer resume. Resume book deadline for MSFs is July the 9th. It's approaching, and MMARC's July the 30th. So if you have last minute resume updates, feel free to send it to the CMC folks, to do their last work, before you submit that resume.
We have one question in the chat, Jenny. Do you suggest we reach out to their Gmail or their work email if we have both as an option? This question is from Alex Schrader.
Yeah, I would, usually I would say their work email, especially if, in the sheet that they, identify that as preferred. If they do identify Gmail as preferred, I would use Gmail. Most likely the default, I would go with work mail. Because you're interacting with them on the more, professions. Thank you, Alex, for your question. All right, it's great to see y'all. Great work, and we'll see you this Thursday.